Hello, welcome to the Corner Studio. First of all, I want to apologize for coughing so much. In the previous stream, I realized that if I tilt my head down and I start talking, like usual, it makes my throat more... it makes my throat more itchy. So I'm gonna try to like look up a bit more, or at least keep my head a bit higher up, and then hopefully that will stop the cough impulse. Just for context, I got a cold past 2 weeks. I'm recovering, so my throat is a bit racked. Where is my... And then if you're new to my channel, wait, let me... If you're new to my channel, I normally do 3D stuff like this. And I've come to a point where I want to render them and do paint overs over them to make them look nice. But I realized that I've encountered a roadblock. There was an obstacle in my path, and that is that I don't really know how to paint. And for a background, I have a few years in doing art and painting, so I'm not completely new. But then the way that I've always learned how to do art is by copying things. And when it comes to something really difficult like painting, the problem, like when it comes to drawing, copying a drawing, I feel like I can learn quite a bit, because it's like, in some sense, there's less things to think about. It's just the things that you think about is like anatomy, proportions, line work. So in some sense, that's like pretty straightforward. But when it comes to painting, I didn't realize it back then, but there were so many things. Oh wow, it feels so much better to talk this way. I've also like lowered down my chair. I should have done that in the last stream, but I didn't know. I only noticed it after the stream ended, and I'm like, why am I coughing so much when I'm streaming? Like, I wasn't coughing the whole day. And then I was like, oh my god, it's because of the posture that I have to be in to like look down at the screen, see the things that I do for you guys. And then, where was I? So when it comes to painting, I've been copying things, and I'm good at copying. I have the skills for copying, but as years and years pass, I realized that I've reached a certain level when it comes to copying, but when it comes to my own things, or even doing a paint over for things like this, I don't know what to do. And that's quite normal thing, like straightforward. You can learn as much as you want, but if you don't know how to apply it to your own things, then it's just like wasted knowledge. So I have all these things in my head that I know, which I guess is like the more normal thing, like to know a lot of things, but then to put it into practice is a different story, right? Oh, so cute. Chikawa is so cute. And then, yeah, so I have a few render shots like this that I have already put in place, but then I'm like, I didn't know what to do with it, which might sound a bit weird, I guess, but it's kind of like looking at a blank canvas, and then like I feel like this probably it will make more sense, because I've heard this a lot from people talking to me when it comes to drawing, is that they feel intimidated with a blank canvas and they don't know what to do with it. Like, how do you start drawing in a blank canvas, right? And that was like the similar feeling that I had with these. Like, I know that my skills are pretty good for painting, but it's only because I'm blindly copying things. And because I blindly copy things, I didn't know how to put it into use, the things that I did. So yeah, I'm very, and I know there's a bit of a detour from my usual stuff. And I know that a lot of people are waiting for my Nomad Scout tutorials and all that. I'll get to recording it now that I know that my throat is not too bad. But I'm really glad that I put the time to do this because, like, for one thing, now I know what to do. Like, so all these additional things were stuff that I put in after realizing after learning like the little things, learning points in my previous painting studies. And yeah, I'm just having so much fun with doing these things, which I feel like is always the most important thing. That no matter what skill level you're at, you do the things at your skill level and enjoy the process, have fun with it. So I think this one, I'm not really going to work on this today because I did this the other stream. I'll probably do this at night, but I'm not sure whether I'll be streaming that because it's a bit long. I worked on something else while I was listening to music. I was like, this image popped in my head and I was like, oh man, I need to draw this out. And I think I can probably teach you, like show you what I've learned from some areas of this. So let's get to it. Let me see. There's a few things that... So when it comes to... so there's this painting that I did. This painting study, which I haven't finished. But it's also... I feel like it's a bit too high of a skill... too high of a level for me to learn anything else at this point. Because I was just like spending hours and hours trying to correct things and then it just not working out, so I just stopped. Probably when I get better in the future, then I'll come back to this. But one of the things that I've learned is oops, excuse me. Hello, smallest petal. Thank you for coming. Your username is so cute. So one thing I learned from my painting studies like these is drawing is really important. And I feel like that's one of the things that has prevented me from learning how to paint, because like so you have the drawing phase. Hello, smallest pet. Thank you. Yeah, I hope that I recover soon too. I like that usernames like this come randomly and then like it's just the cutest thing. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me and showing me your cute username. I like plants, so yeah, I don't know. Your username is just so cute. So there's different stages of this. That is the kind of like the, what's that called? Like the grayscale phase. the grayscale phase. At least this is what I learned. I'm just going to like randomly put in some stuff so that I don't take too much time. So that's kind of like, yeah, Conover is cute. Let me. And then yeah, so I've kind of learned this way of painting, drawing, and then grayscale, and then color, and then I really like birds too. Yeah, I like to do like bird watching when I'm out in nature or like looking out the window, because like they're so cute. They they feel like such precious creatures. And especially when you see those birds that comes in like pairs, like a couple, like it's just so cute when they're hanging out together and fending for themselves in the wilderness, you know, like such precious small creatures. And then what's this? Then when you, so when I was doing this, one of the things that I realized is that I don't really have fun with like grayscale painting. And the other thing I realized is that getting the drawing wrong makes everything very difficult, because if you can't get the drawing right, it kind of like messes up with like, oh, what is like, is the painting and the tones wrong, or is it that her jaw is like too big or something? Like I wouldn't know how to tell. So a few years I kept trying to do things like the extremely proper way, and then I realized that this time around, because I want to learn how to paint, I decided to skip the drawing. So this drawing is kind of like the trace over of this, and then that way I can focus on just painting her up and focus on like, okay, her mouth is correct, the shape, the size and all that placement is correct, so I just need to focus on getting the values. Yeah, the most important is like getting the values right. But yeah, it's like it's a lot of things to talk about, and like I feel like I'm always condensing, and I feel like there's just so many years of things worth of things going to go through, because I also don't really want to give like a sort of like what's it called, a sort of like false hope that like, oh, when you learn the things that I learned, then everything will work out. But that will be like taking too much of the time. So I'll move on to things that I've learned from these specific things. Which the first thing for this, thank you for coming by and thank you for liking my stuff. It's nice to see you. Yeah, smallest petal. I hope that you have a good time and a good rest of the week. So the thing that I learned for this particular one is the intersections of like the ambient occlusion between the fingers, like this, they are quite dark. So that's the first thing that I learned, that I've applied to this, that give me a moment. Oops. Okay, let me see. What can I delete? It's like, because there's a curve, Then and the areas where in insects, you can see like there's a really dark shadow. And I've always never really like understood what value this is supposed to be. So like doing painting studies with, even though I haven't finished this yet, but like that brings to the point of like I've been copying so many things all my life, but that I don't understand what I'm copying. So this time around, I'm really focused on not trying to, like, it's so tempting to like just try and make this whole thing perfect and spend that time to like copy. But I was being really mindful to like, if I'm not learning anything and I'm just blindly copying stuff, that I'm not going to pursue that that what's that effort. So this one, so the good thing about this was like it taught me how to paint areas like this. And of course, like, because my art usually has line work, so the line work is already acting as that so-called ambient occlusion between the fingers. Then the other thing that I learned was, I think especially with this one, when I was painting this, which I also live stream, and you can see me like spiraling out of control in the live stream because painting is just so hard and so difficult. But can see areas like this where there's a lot of flat areas, a lot of smooth areas. It's quite difficult to at least for me to make it look good. But I realized that by smudging it with a texture brush, I'm able to, so I will just apply it to this. I'm using the default stucco brush, which is somewhere here. So you can see like it looks a lot better like this, just by adding the texture. It's kind of like even for this one, you can see if I paint this, let me get another brush. Have the reflected light, have the core shadow, and I have the highlight. And then when you blur this up, as long as the values are relatively correct, it can look pretty solid. Yeah, this one's a bit dark. So that's what these areas are like. It's it's just the same concept like this, paint over, and then trusting that smudging it out would make it look solid. But of course the values have to be correct. So you can see like I'm really mindful of the values when I'm painting. Then the other thing is what's the other thing? Something that I've really gone through quite a bit is the thing of smaller areas, being more careful with like being mindful of the brush size. So when I'm going over areas like the eyes, I'll try to get it smaller like this. So I think that's one of the biggest learning points that I had coming out of my painting studies, which is just being mindful that having a smaller brush size like this just makes, and also taking the time to work on the smaller areas compared to something like this, where I'm just going with a bigger brush and like going through it. And this one, smaller brush, and taking my time to make sure that everything's correct. Like you can see, there's kind of like a 1, 2, and 3 gradient of 3-step of a value chart over here. But I can see, and you can see like the relative size of this. This is really big, and this is really small. But when you zoom in, you can see that there's like highlight here, there's a mid-tone here, there's a different tone of value here, there's a darkness here. You need this to be sharp. The eyeshadow has like 2 different things because the eyelash is casting a shadow on this. You have the eyelid. So you see like so many things is happening in just this small area. The same thing with the nose. Probably same thing with the lips. So like compared to something like the arm, for example, or the clothes, I've learned to be more careful with areas like this, take more time, and use like which I'm gonna do when I work on this after I explain everything. Oh, like you probably see like I'm adjusting my brush size a lot, and it just makes it easier. But there's also the thing of like, let's say if you're working on a big flat area, then you don't want to be using a small brush like this, because like you can see like how messy it gets. And it also takes up a lot of time. So just changing the brush size. And like the thing of changing brush sizes while working, like I guess in some sense in the past I used to think of it as like oh, it's gonna take like extra few seconds every time I try to choose a brush size. But this time around when I'm painting more mindfully, I realize that kind of time, like few seconds spent each time, it saves a lot of time in the long run, because for one thing, you're not fixing messes like this. Of course, you can blend it up like that and then it's done. But you can probably just do it faster like this. Like that. And then same thing for areas like this. Just go a bit smaller. Like that. Just because there's so much more details on this compared to this area. Then the other thing, let me undo that. The other thing is, was there anything else? Something random too, which is like, if you've been around my channel for a while, you know how much I like climbing and bouldering. And I realized that as I tried to progress my grade for climbing, that I'm exposed to more and more like weird postures. It's like there's something called the drop knee, So imagine this is like a climbing hole. A drop knee is when you drop the knee. This is the foot to position yourself better and not fall off the wall. And when I see like all these climbing poses, you know, there's something called like a heel hook. Yeah, when I'm exposed to more of these, and as I try to practice these moves and get to them, I feel like it kind of transfers to the way that I draw now, which is interesting. And yeah, it's been really fun, like just thinking about all these weird movements on the wall. Of course, like that you need some flexibility and strength in flexible areas to do them. And it's been really fun to like get to learn how to do these movements, which you would never ever do if you're just an artist sitting on the chair. Or even in like a lot of sports, like if you play badminton or do running and stuff, like you wouldn't really have the need to like bring your foot to the level of your head, for example, like to climb a wall. Like it's such a specific thing, and I love climbing so much. If you're ever interested in climbing, go give it a shot. The problem solving aspect is like just the best. I'm not sure whether is that all. So when it comes to this, I think that's all for talking about the things that I learned. So the thing with the thing with the what was I talking about? I was looking for a song and I forgot. Oh, so like what this drawing is about. Like I think nowadays when I'm making drawing, I try to make a point to think about what I'm practicing with it or why I'm learning from it. So for in this specific case, I really like rock bands and I like rock music, like the Blue Stones, Nothing But Thieves. And I feel like for the drawing aspect, like it just came from the inspiration of listening to rock music. But the other things would be things like doing more like full body poses. So I want to do a full body pose. This pose is like specific to what popped out in my head when I was listening to a specific song. But in the most case, I want to do something that is red because I've been painting blue things in the past few days. And then I want to incorporate, I have a lot of drawings. Let me just bring it up. Not sure they're showing that well. So I have a lot of brush pen stuff. And like they're kind of just sitting around collecting dust. So I wanted to merge, like now that I've gotten more used to 3D things and then now 2D stuff, I kind of want to merge all my all my pieces together, which brings me up to one of my common problems is that when I'm using different mediums, they don't look cohesive. They look like three distinct looking things. So one of this is the attempt to try to like merge my 2D, my 3D, and my traditional things, trying to bring them closer together. Like right now they are kind of like here, like 3 points over here, and oops, tripod. They're kind of like 3 points scattered around, and then trying to like bring them together so that they become one thing eventually. Like I think it's getting there, it's getting better each day as I do more and more things. Actually, I need a bathroom break right now. So yeah, it's this is just one of the ways that I spend a few hours like just tinkering with this. Like it kind of sounds stupid, but I guess that's just how it is when trying to do new things, and I'm not sure what the outcome would be. Well, because I'm quite happy with how this looks like right now, and I like that I'm able to use my brush pen drawings for something. Like I like how this one looks, although it's a bit like too black over here. But yeah, I really like how this looks. This one I'm not really sure yet, but I'm going to try to like polish this up first, and then after I polish this up, then maybe I'll know what to do with the things in the background. So yeah. And now of course, you know the thing of what I say, that incorrect drawings will get in the way of painting. I feel like that's a big part of why I've never finished a painting. So this is my 3D render, like this, that I pasted here and then I painted over it, just because I realized that if I can do 3D stuff, then I might as well use it for my 2D things, right? So yeah, let me go to the restroom first, and then I will come back to this and start painting when I'm back. And I'm glad that I'm not coughing anymore. Before I forget, before I start, just know there's also something else that I've learned from doing the mindful painting studies is the values between the like areas like this and areas like this here. So the values are not that, it's not that big. And one of the issues that I used to do, especially when it comes to painting faces, which is kind of like probably not the problem if you're trying to do some dramatic film noir kind of look, or like wrinkled old person look. But I'm not interested in doing wrinkled old person or monsters and stuff like that. So I know that color is wrong, but I used to go like really dark like that, and then the value is just not correct for these specific areas. Like, it just makes everything more harsh like this. Yeah, I think I probably painted a lot more like this last time. I think like personal preference, I just prefer like a more like I prefer like in the case of the hand, I think you probably get this a lot more when you're painting in grayscale, which I did last time, which is that I'll try to make the grayscale look correct, but then when it comes to shading and colors and stuff, like this just looks overall darker and heavier than something like this. So I'm being quite mindful to make sure that my values, like the bright areas, are taking more percentage of what I'm doing. Of course, unless it's in shadow like this. I think that just helped to give me like the feeling that I like with my paintings. So yeah, I think that's about it. It's not a lot of stuff, but yeah, things really helpful to me. And I think that when it comes to doing classwork and things, and also when I was younger, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, or like what style I wanted to do. So of course I need to try different things and copy different things and make them look good. And also like when it comes to school assignments and all that, it's the grades are important, and obviously like your lecturers, teachers want to see good work coming out at the end of the project. But yeah, I just wish that I was less concerned about, like, of course there's a lot of people who, when they were in art school, like they're just going to make really good work and also learn from it and just become really good at a young age. But I guess I just wish that I was less concerned about what the artwork looks like, and just focus more on like what I can learn from it, instead of trying to make something look good and then coming out empty at the end of the day. Yeah. And I'm really happy that I just took the time to be more mindful about these kind of things, so that I can connect all the dots of the things that I know. And like, of course, I have a long way to go. I have a lot of things to learn. But at this point, like at this stage, it's like quite good enough to do the things that I want to do at this moment in time. So yeah. Hello, smallest battle. Welcome back. Probably not going to talk much now, and it's just about drawing now. But I hope that my work in progress would be interesting to you. And like, all these things are stuff that I'm doing while I'm still learning things, so maybe that will be more insightful, like a different type of insight compared to someone painting who already know what they're doing and have painted 1,000 times. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit slow because I'm still figuring things out, but yeah, I'm just going to have fun listening to nice music. I hope that you have a good time too. That's pain. And when it comes to doing switching up the when it comes to layering for my stuff, I usually just layer things that I feel I need more breathing space. So for example, I want to render this area of her face, and I feel like the eyes are just going to get in the way, and I don't want to spend time to paint over the eyes and then correcting it, and then paint over and then correcting it again. So for now, I will just split this eyes up. Something I learned too is that if you hold down the visible, if you hold this down, you can isolate the layers, and if you hold it down again after working on it, you can bring back the layers that were visible before. So that's quite cool. Let me just merge this together. I'm also trying to make the line art a bit cleaner now that the drawing is finalized. Oh, thank you for liking my stuff. I'm also amazed at the drawings that I've been making. Like, it sounds pretty weird, but I've spent so many years like trying to paint and failing at it that this feels like it feels like I can breathe again. Like, yeah, like I may sound like I'm exaggerating, but it's really how I feel about this. Something else that I learned from painting a bit more is you see, like right now the line art is quite thick, and I'm doing that because I'm gonna go over this and I'm gonna start blending out the thickness. So this is something that I'll do for these areas too. Yeah, I always wondered, like, how do people make their line art look so nice and how like feels integrated? And I'm not really sure whether this is how they do it, but I feel like it works for me. So you can see that I had this gray color on a different layer, but I'm going to just put them all in one layer now that I know that the drawing is more or less what I want. I want this to look like it's glowing a little bit, so I'm using a light touch of this green to some of the areas. This one's a bit distracting to me. Thinking about a lot of things. I think I'll clean this layer up first. Let me clean this up. The eraser that I use now most of the time is a brush with no opacity, and it's also quite which one is it? The spacing. I think I changed the spacing and the stabilization. Oh yeah. So like the thing with this Apple Pencil tip replacement is that the distance of this is a little bit further away, and I think it does like make the lines a little bit more wobbly if you go really slow. And the way that I counter it, which has worked really well, is by increasing the streamline. I mean, even without this, like sometimes my lines are very wobbly. So just increasing this has made painting a lot more fun. And yeah, I also don't really adjust settings. And you can see like I like to use the default brushes. But I will change it if like after a few weeks of painting or something, I'm like, if I am still irritated with something, then I'll be like, okay, it's about time to change whatever that was irritating me, like annoying me. And also like this saves me a lot of time for like which one? Like all these lines, I think it will be really wobbly if I didn't adjust that. And then it will just be a lot more time spent. You can see like around the jaw. I'm gonna make the brush size smaller. I think my Nomad Sculpt brushes are also mostly just default brushes. Wondering whether I should merge these two together. Maybe I'll just merge it together. I'll take out the ones that I don't want to use. I feel like color is too gray, and then it's actually quite bright. I want to add some saturation to the grays. So I'm just pushing this a little bit to the right. Oh. Do I know any cool fire theme names? Oh, thanks for subscribing. I will work hard. And I'm pretty bad at coming out with names, so I'm sorry I can't help you with that. So the thing of like shading more like bright, keeping the bright areas more than 50% or even more than 70% of the whole thing, I'm applying it to this too. I don't want this to be too like 50-50. So I'm going to try and like make sure as I'm looking at the whole thing that I'm not losing the luminance of this. So that's kind of what I'm eyeing for right now. I don't really like how the dark area looks, so I'm going to do the opposite and try with a lighter color. I think that looks a lot better. Like, I just want the hat to be a little bit different, I guess. And maybe I'll fix this transition. I don't want the value difference to be too big either. I just want like a subtle difference, just so that it will distinct the different hashes. I feel like it's a bit difficult to get the colors for this one on the screen. Areas where there's intersection like this, just very careful using a small brush size. You can see how much easier it is to work on areas like this when I've kept the detailed area more separate. Same thing here. I'm also trying to make the area on top brighter than at the bottom, just so that there's more visual interest in on her face. So I think that's kind of like more cleaned up. I guess this one I'll need to, let me see, probably should just go over it like this. It's gonna feel it's kind of a weird thing, but I used to feel guilty about spending a lot more time on like the facial features, which is kind of like stupid when I think about it. But now I will like spend more time on the smaller areas, just because I know that I'm supposed, like, it's a lot more delicate, and it makes more sense to spend more time on them. When I think about it, like I don't have a good memory of my like growing up in my school experiences. But I realized like that feeling of guilt probably stems from like my art teachers, and yeah, just people like saying that that my that I'm too slow. And I guess that feeling stuck onto me for a really long time, even until now. Even right now I feel some guilt on, like, in some sense, like painting slow, but I'm guessing that this is just a normal speed. I mean, part of the live stream experience is just feeling more okay with this kind of feelings. So thank you for going through the journey with me as I learn to like fix my issues. I still don't really know how I do eyebrows. But I'll just do like really light strokes, and then the remaining I use the same smudge brush to just like smudge out the edges a bit, like that. And that is the eye done. I think I should add some more saturation to this. So the way that I'm thinking about it is that I want this to have some saturation and darkness, but not as much as areas like this. So just that little bit is fine. And something that I learned from doing the paint studies is that sharpening the edges can polish the look pretty fast. So like if I sharpen this, then I make it look more polished. So that's sharpen. And for this one, I feel like it's missing some highlight. I'm not sure whether I want to split this up. Maybe I want to split this up, like just so that all the facial features are at one layer. Something else I learned from paint studies, that the value of the lips, except unless I'm intentionally making it lighter, the value of the lips are pretty dark compared to the other areas. What's that? Not sure whether I want this to be colored though. Maybe not. So the lips can be like a darker and more saturated look compared to everything else. I think especially with comparison with the hair colors, like hairs can be quite desaturated, like more grayish tone. I'm just going to match the hair to the eyelashes a little bit. And just blur out a little bit. And then, oh yeah, I like how this area looks more highlighted. So I'll do the same thing over here. Probably more white and deset. But I'm not sure whether I want it to be broken up to different sections. So maybe where it sticks out. And the way that I'm choosing the colors and stuff, I think I'm kind of relying on what I feel I want the look to be. So if I feel like it's too desaturated, then I'll push out the saturation a bit. Whereas in this case, I want this area to be quite I don't want it to be so saturated like this. Like I think this one is, it's quite saturated. So I'm just toning it down a bit just for these areas here. On the right layer. Okay, no, it's fine. Maybe it's good that I did this on the face layer. Yeah, sometimes I'm surprised at like how these kinds of small details can polish the look a lot. I can see the before and after. I think I like it a lot more. Now I'll do the same for the other areas that I find is too like muddy looking. Now I'll work on this one now. Separate the face so that I can work on everything else. I'll probably redo the coloring for this. Okay, let me erase this. Not sure whether I want to put these as separate layers, but maybe I should. almost done. I think that's about it for today. Happy with the progress. So I'll stop here for now, and I'll see what I'll do in the future in the next one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.